All right, folks. So welcome to Comedy Central, the Wednesday muster. Tried this live stream before. It kind of didn't work, but this time I think that I have all these kinks worked out. Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see, do I even have anybody in chat? Nobody's even in chat yet to let me know if you can hear me, so I'm just going to wait for kind of somebody to come in, and I'm not gonna take it too far if I know that nobody can hear me. So let's see what happens here. I know Jennifer was around. All right, thank you, Neon. Welcome and thanks. I am so glad. Hello, Sissy. And Candace, welcome, welcome. I am glad you guys are here. I have, hopefully, like I said, the kinks worked out. The dog is put away. However, right outside the studio window, I have this bird that just keeps attaching itself to the screen and fluttering its wings, but that's not as much of a distraction as a dog is. You know, today I'm just going to try to keep it, just real casual. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of Bob McKim. Also, if time permits, hello, Mike. Yes. I noticed that hit me. If time permits, we'll talk a little bit about some developments in Michelle's world. I also have a new lolcalf to share with you guys. I'm not going to talk much about Tommy Tooter because he's just been quiet. I think he had a stream like last week or something. Yeah, we're gonna get to June a little bit there, Mike. I noticed that the ItMe account had been quiet for a while, and it's not like ItMe to ever be quiet. So I went over to check the channel, and it said it had been terminated for some kind of community guideline violations or something like that. And I just had to chuckle to myself. That was hilarious. Yes, Neon. Yeah, definitely. It's a possessed bird. Flew here all the way from Carrollton, Ohio. But that bird's soon gonna learn that I have a BB gun. So I know it's so sad that ItMe's gone, but it's good that Mike is here. Mike Hunt. See, I said it, so now you can get your little sound clip. Do whatever you want. I imagine that Mike Latoris will also be making an appearance soon. But in any case, lots has been going on in the world of the evangelist Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. from Carrollton, Ohio. One of the things about Bob is lately he's been like feast or famine with his videos. And a lot of times when you were in the feast, when he's just pumping them out, you can't let these things fall behind. Because in every one of them videos, he's got something wrong, or he's trying to propagate some kind of delusion, or just some bullshit, quite frankly. We're going to get a little bit more into who Bob is and what he's all about, probably on Saturday. But suffice it to say for now that Bob has probably, I don't know, a little bit more than 600 videos on YouTube. He was ordained by this Universal Life Church, which will ordain anybody. He has no real formal theology or seminary training. In fact, I think most of his theological education comes from a combination of the Sci-Fi Channel, Jim Bakker, and Bob seems to also get some enlightenment from the reruns of Touched by an Angel. He's got this laundry list of ailments and disabilities he says he has, and he's just, he's truly exceptional. He lives in his world of make-believe. Hey, Mel. Mel happens to be a good thorn in Bob's side. That's why I always love Mel. One thing about Bob, excuse me, is he got wind of Comedy Central, and I went to start to talk about this last Saturday, and it was no big secret. I had made a video announcing it. Some other channels had talked about it. And so he kind of made it sound like that he had some kind of inside information. And it's like, well, your inside information comes from the fact that you kind of go to every single one of our channels every single day, probably multiple times a day. And so he even got himself all worked up about Comedy Central. Even before the first video was posted, even before the first live stream, he made it a point to mention it in a video, and I'm going to play that clip for you right here.
And the cow, Monty, like, comedy, Calmany. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, Calmany.
Calmonte Central.
Central. Like Comedy Central. That was pretending to be my son for a long time.
He looks familiar.
Now he is wanting to pick on not just me, but other people. That, come on now. When is enough enough? When are you just going to stop?
Hey, Joe Hester.
Because you just don't like what we're talking about or saying?
It's never going to be enough, Bob. If I'm 7 years old, 32 years old, or 70 years old, I'm not going to stop expressing my opinions about the shit that you put out on the internet. And there's a whole group of us who aren't going to tolerate it. Yes, Bob has been looking really rough. Bob, I think, has kind of been looking rough ever since Lewis came on the scene back last December. You know. Hey, Miss Jen, good to see you. Trinity Ace, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. So as we know, Bob has had a very busy week in that little trailer of make-believe of his. Hello, third-generation German-American. Welcome. I'm glad you were able to pop in. I hear a rumor from a good source that you're going to be on the live show on Saturday. So hopefully we'll see you then. Stick around and chat if you can, because we'll be, talking about our favorite friend. Third Generation's probably like one of the foremost experts on Bob. Just incredible. So Bob put out this video. It's a little even blurry for me, but I think that was on May 13th. And so we have Bob, who appears in his finest lime green shirt with the security badge, and I'll get more into that later. But the whole purpose of his video was to read scripture that, if you ever listen to Bob read scripture, you learn that Bob really struggles with reading. But it was actually an attack against me and Joe Hester. If you remember that live stream from last Saturday, I had some issues, right? And it was a stupid issue in the long run. It was just like a little box that needed to be checked that was unchecked. And there was even a joke kind of made in the stream that it was probably Renee and Bob hacking me. Well, then I figured it out. I closed it down. I went and I pouted. I didn't really pout, but you know. And I get this notification, and it was that Joe Hester had created one of his parody videos. I mean, Joe Hester creates some of the funniest videos. And it was actually a video of Renee admitting that she had hacked my computer, and it was a laugh. And I decided I was also going to run with it, so I took some screen caps from his video, and then I made that video, if you've seen it, saying, I was sorry, basically, and that Bob had... Renee had hacked me. You know, it was all fun and games. It was a joke, right? Well, Bob went off the fucking deep end about it. And so when he made the video, Jennifer J took to her live stream to talk about it. And I have just a little bit of a clip here with Jen addressing Bob's own response to the joke video.
How was it a joke? We was joking around. Because good Christians don't blame God. They blame somebody else. And we did. Take that as a joke. Take it as a sign from God. And what we thought. But no. And what you have to do? Bob. You have to detail your life. Like, we do this and this and that, and we go to bed at 6 o'clock, and devil worships afterwards. I don't just want to know what time you turn off the bloody computer and go to bed, Bob. That's not useless fucking information that we can make fun of, like I am doing now.
I just love Jen's videos, especially when she replies to Bob. One of the things I think is hilarious is when Jen drops the F-bomb, because I never expect Jen to ever do that. And no, Jen, I'm not saying now use it every other word in your videos, but I think it's just funny as shit when you do it. So, like I said, so Jen had responded to this video, and so I had watched the video, and the first thing that struck me about this video, and I'm not going to play the entire thing because Bob is probably one of the most boring people. You have to take him in small doses or small clips. If you listen very carefully, it sounds as if Bob goes to the doctor to get his hair cut. Have a listen.
In our doctor appointment, our pulmonologist doctor appointment, going to get our haircuts.
So, who goes to their pulmonologist to get haircuts? I certainly hope that's not what, he meant, but perhaps that town or that village is so small that the pulmonologist also doubles as the barber. Who knows? But he's just not very clear most of the time in what the hell he says. And then he, of course, addresses Joe and Mai's video, where he just doesn't really get that it was a joke. And he wants to talk about the falsehoods. But Bob can't say falsehoods. Listen for yourself.
It's come to my attention.
It was on the internet. Nobody told you.
That there's a couple of YouTubers that is spreading lies, falsehood.
Falsehood. We're spreading falsehood. He's just nuts. So then, of course, in the same video, when I made my video, I mentioned that my God was going to avenge and go after Bob, because Bob's very famous for saying that Bob's God's an avenger and we're all in trouble, right? And so he does look constipated, doesn't he? So the I say, my God's going to get you, and I basically hope that my God will blow the tide off of his dilapidated trailer. So Bob has to respond to this, and so this is what he had to say, which is probably more directed at me, more so than Joe Hester.
You have no place in the kingdom of God in Christ whatsoever. No place. And the judgment of God is upon you. The wrath of God is upon you.
Ooh, I'm scared.
You might lie and say something else. Or, like you said in your video, your God's going to get me.
Like Joe said, my God's going to beat up your God.
I have a hedge of protection around me.
We call that fat, Bob. It's fat.
So sick your God on me. He has no place in my life or around me or to do anything to me. Satan and his demons does not have any place to hurt me.
He assumes my God is Satan.
Mind you that.
Bob, you have this hedge of protection around you. Others call it obesity. Others who know you in real life have also talked about your foul odor. So in terms of a hedge of protection, I highly recommend that you stick with the McKim that you've talked about before, because you know what? It has triple odor defense, and it lasts for like 48 hours or something. So add this to your hedge of protection arsenal. Oh, what a fool. What a fool. All right, so I'm talking blah, blah, blah. So let's take a look at some of the chat here. Yeah, I've already addressed that. He does look kind of constipated. Yeah, false herd. Yeah, that's a new one for the Bob lectionary. Yes, Joe, I agree. He's hating me the most right now because I really think he thought I went away, and I just went away to come back a little bit stronger. Yes, Sissy, that is a police scanner. He listens to the police scanner all day, and I'll get into that soon. There's another video, and you can learn all about his police scanners. Bob is just incredibly special, and I am sure he's watching this right now. So Bob, why don't you come up into the chat and say hi, because we would all love to break bread with you here. If not, I know he'll be watching the replay repeatedly. Anytime I had a good video on the other channel, I would have like 140 something views, and I think it was just Bob constantly hitting refresh. But anytime I swore, because when you swear, he typically doesn't show your video, my views were like half of that, right? No, he doesn't pick up trash on the highway because that would involve work. He does wear a special uniform because Bob thinks he's a security guard. He had security guard training many, many years ago, and he got fired from that security job, but he basically returned everything but the uniform. Yes, begging at the end of off-ramps. Again, Mel, begging involves work. It's easier just to sit in your recliner on YouTube calling around to all the different churches and pantries and begging on YouTube. Yeah, right. 16 days off. And one thing about that, see, and let me just give you guys a little bit of backstory. I have been watching Bob for a very long time, but it wasn't until December that I decided to put my face to him. I can't claim to be an expert like a person like third generation or even you, Joe, or some other people, but I know probably too much about him. I probably know more about Bob than my own biological father. And so, anyways, the 16 days off, Bob had been sick with the flu for 6 days. The big baby he couldn't even call into work. He was, I believe he was entrusting his pregnant wife to have to take doctor's notes to work for him and to call in for him. And, he ended up getting fired, and in the paperwork, they said that he had missed 16 days. Well, my theory on this, and this is just my own take from having listened to enough of his ranting about this, is, you know what, he probably did miss 6 days for the flu, but he had only started working there, and don't quote me on the dates, but it was something like November. And he got terminated in April or May, so he had only been there for, let's just say, 5 or 6 months or so, not even that. And so I'm guessing his termination was that in his first, we'll call it 5 months of employment, he missed a total of 16 days. That's what I kind of take away from it. Because most employers aren't going to, lie on your termination paperwork. They're going to be pretty truthful. And you're right, I shouldn't know this much about anybody. Yeah. But yeah, Bob, I don't know. He's just special. Well, and not special in a good way. So then, let's just move on here. It's already 8:24. Bob makes this video that he's received a trade name for his organization, and then he goes on about radios, and then he also goes on to attack another person, but I'm not going to talk about that other person today because I think we're going to kind of cover that a little bit more on Saturday. But I had been on Bob's ass for the longest time because, see, Bob has what he calls an organization, and under Ohio law, you can be an unincorporated organization. So from the start, that's totally possible. However, the guidance from the state of Ohio is that even if you're an unincorporated association or an unincorporated organization, you still have to register your name with the state, either like a DBA or fictitious name or a trade name. Trade name kind of locks you in a little bit more. So I had been on him for months that he's not in compliance. Well, it wasn't really until I believe the 9th that he actually filed for the trade name. And again, we're going to get to that. But I looked at this video here, and I really enjoyed his description of this video because, Bob claims to have this doctorate degree in religion. However, when I try to read this, I doesn't seem to be written by somebody who's even left 5th grade. I believe this is trying to say I have been and always will be the founder. Well, no, I have been and always will be founder president of the Care Security Radio Patrol nonprofit organizations. I and other members started it, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on about this other parody channel who's trying to say they're president. But again, we'll cover that Saturday. So Bob in the video shows a copy of this trade name, and he has it folded down. Well, one thing I know is when Bob is trying to hide something, he's probably bullshitting. So if you know me and you know the previous videos, I went to the state of Ohio and I got a copy of the document that he filed. First thing that stands out is right across the very top. Bob is a person who says he's on a limited income. He can't afford food. He can't afford prescriptions. He can't afford gas in his car. But yet he was able to come up with $39 on May 8th to file this piece of paper, which is his trade name. And I had to see what this trade name was. And folks, I was blown away. It's the Community Awareness and Emergency Response, the acronym CARE Security Radio Patrol. I mean, can that name get any longer? And here's the thing. That name is registered as a trade name in Ohio. It is not a trademark. It is not a federal trademark. It is not a federal trade name. This name is only protected in Ohio. It's not protected across the entire United States. So if somebody in North Carolina, Texas, California also want to use that name, they can. Only people in Ohio can't use this name. Now, again, I'm not speaking with any legal authority. I did do research, however, as the disclaimer said in the beginning, consult with your own professional. But I don't really think I'm wrong here, but I'm not saying this as gospel truth. One of the All right. It beeped in my ear that it went off, so I apologize. I'm going to backtrack to where I think I was when it went ding. One of the fascinating things is I also flipped the page of what he filed, and we got to his organization description. And it says, Community Awareness and Public Safety, CB Radio Channel 9, GMRS FRS radios, amateur ham radio, Skywarn, security and traffic control at accidents, fires, and emergencies. And now it looks to me like, am I live or am I not live? Because I don't know if this is a buffer or a freeze or what it is. Can somebody just let me know in chat if you could see or at least hear me? I'll give you guys a second because I know there's a pause here. I am live. All right, thanks, Mike Hunt. Because all my screens are just like sitting there frozen. It could just be a me thing. You know, it's probably got Bob. You know, Bob and Renee hacking again. Or that damn bird. But in any case. So, I see it on my end, but whatever. It is what it is. As long as you can hear me and see, I guess that's all that matters. If I do go down, let me know. So yeah, that's the description there. And so I think I saw something here from Joe. Yes, he spent $39 to try to prove me wrong, when in reality he wasn't proving shit. He was actually making himself compliant with the law. I don't think third generation is the real president, Joe. I believe Bobbert McKim III is the CARE president. There's some whole fiasco with that, but I don't want to touch that right now. I want to leave that for Saturday. And somebody's going to go watch Mob Psycho 100. Thanks for visiting. Enjoy your show. Aw. I believe Bobbert is taken. I don't know if he's taken by Eudora or there's another name that's come up. I'm not the Bobbert expert. Yeah, it is confusing, Joe. It's really confusing. It's like who's who, what's what. I mean, trying to draw the McKim family tree is wow. It's pretty messed up, especially the YouTube family tree. Marissa. Yes, Marissa. That's Bobbert. So, wow. So Mike Hunt, you have a crush on Bobbert, and you clearly know about Marissa. I think there's some drama in the works here, huh? So, I want to just clear something up because I have heard rumor, and it's all good. I am not the owner or operator of the BobTube channel. If you don't know what that is, it's a channel that recently came to be that plays Bob's videos pretty much 24/7 and includes videos from some of the other greats. That is not my channel. I don't know who started it, if Bob started it, or whomever, but it's not mine. And also, I have heard that I am the owner operator of the channel called The Retardery, or as Bob likes to call it, The Retardary. That also is not my channel. I happen to know who runs that channel, and it's definitely not me. Yeah, but you know, Joe, I think God runs BobTube. It's just, it's God's way of exposing that false prophet. Jennifer J says, my friend. Whom, Jennifer J? Who is your friend? Alright, so let's... Yeah, definitely God's will. Alright. So, there was a serious accident in and around Carrollton, Ohio. I should just say, Bob got up at 3 a.m. to make this YouTube video about this serious accident. And most people, it was a car that was wrapped around a tree. However, Bob feels that the vehicle was warped around the tree. I needed to hurry up and get a cap of that description before he changed it. And so what happened was Bob hears on his police scanner, because he listens to the scanner 24/7, he hears about this accident. And instead of responding to the accident, he decided to plop his ass down in his recliner and make a YouTube video about it, just going off of whatever traffic he was hearing on the police scanner. Now, if we go back to the description of that care organization, it says security and traffic control at accidents, fires, and emergencies. It doesn't say anything about sitting down and making a YouTube video, and he had very limited information there when he was giving it. But I'm convinced that Bob, he never responds to any emergencies that he hears. I feel personally that Bob knows that if he listens to a police scanner and actually shows up to a crime scene or some kind of investigation scene, he might get kind of nabbed for interfering with an investigation or whatnot. I don't know that to be true, but Bob never shows up. In fact, for those of you who followed Bob, there was the fire at a recycling plant, And what Bob did was he grabbed his camera and filmed it from afar, saying, "Look at this fire." And it was a pretty big fire. And so he didn't even go help there. So I don't know why he listens to this scanner, but the fact of the matter is he listens to it, and now he's taking to YouTube to be making videos. So let me see. So yeah, he makes that video and he says he's going to update us as if any of us were sitting at the edge of our seat wondering, oh, what happened in that accident? I know I wasn't. And Bob, I don't believe, has anybody from his immediate area who subscribes to him, because he doesn't strike me as the authority on the Carrollton weather or news and views. I agree, Mel. I do suspect the same thing, that he has probably showed up to one too many scenes and they told him to basically get the hell out. So Bob makes a video called The Update from my last video about the serious accident. Now, mind you, this came out late. Was it late on the 13th? This came out later in the day when he made this video. And just remember what I said about we're going to get back to this lime green vest. So he makes this video later, and what he talks about in the video is Bob doesn't edit, so he puts his camera on the computer, and the Free Press Standard is the local paper there, and so he records his computer screen showing the news. Now, I blurred out the face of the man who died in the accident just out of respect to him and his family, because this really isn't about the accident. This is more about Bob and Bob's asshole antics, right? So Bob reads the Free Press Standard. So then, like I said, we had this video. Here's my theory. Bob dressed in his green outfit that morning so he can go to the scene of that accident where it was being investigated, but he can go to that scene and record and take pictures for his own YouTube video. Watch this.
But there's a farmhouse there. And if you look right across the road, there's a tree there. Well, the bark off of it. A lot of dirt there, debris messed up. There was, dirt messed up there, and then there was a lot of debris around that tree as well on the ground.
And so he went dressed up in his full security drag to zoom in and take pictures of this tree. And that was just so wrong. I don't know. I couldn't even find my words. I couldn't believe he wants to feel so self-important that he took himself to an accident investigation scene to show people. Now, folks, Bob didn't know this guy, so it wasn't like a town hero. It wasn't like a neighbor or a relative or a friend. This is just something Bob heard on his police scanner at 3 o'clock in the morning, and decided to make his self-importance so great that he was going to cover it. And I was just blown away. Bob is just, I couldn't believe it. And you all know, most of you know how I feel about what Bob did recently with the disappearance of that teen boy that they ultimately found dead. I believe that one is still under investigation as well. Bob shows up, and he does his Facebook Lives, And he's like, I am here with a bunch of other people searching. And when you look at this pavilion where he's standing, nobody's there because they're all out fucking searching for this kid. And there's Bob in his full drag outfit, you know, his security drag. And I got my radios, he points out. And yet here's like 200 other people there to look for kids. And one of the things, and I've mentioned this before, that were mentioned in the comments that I didn't think of right away, was that local restaurants were giving free food for the volunteers. So, of course, Bob was there. There was something free. I don't know, Den Man. It could still happen. Give them time. Wouldn't be surprised if I have the cops come to my door like Bob allegedly had them come to Jen's door a couple weeks ago. But let's get off of that accident. You know what? Just in your prayers, think of the person who died and their family. It is a very sad situation, regardless of how the accident happened. Bob's involvement in it should have been nothing. If anything, Bob should have went to the scene and tried to provide this traffic control that he talks about or tries to do whatever. Or, you know what? Even as a pastor, you know, I'm not even going to say, I was going to say pray with the family, but I think Bob needs to stay the fuck away from people when it comes to religion. But anyways, so in the same video, Bob talks about that it's the Peace Officers Memorial Week or Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Week.
Also, I wanted to, real quick, remind you that this week is the Law Enforcement Memorial Week.
He is a heathen.
This is what the American Federation of Police Hall of Fame puts out.
So, folks, the American Police Hall of Fame does not sponsor the Law Enforcement Memorial Week. As a matter of fact, it's an event that's sponsored by the National Fraternal Order of Police, which is nothing like the American Federation of Police. The National Fraternal Order of Police is a highly credible organization. And so I don't know why he would say that, but that is not true. But this museum, okay, this American Police Hall of Fame and Museum is run by the American Federation of Police. Okay, that's important to know, and some of you already know where I'm going with this. And if you don't know, you're going to learn in a second. So keep in the back of your head that this museum that Bob pushes is run by the American Federation of Police. Bob also pushes this American Federation of Police. Fine and dandy. Remember when we went back to his video where he has been and always will be the founder? He says that it started under the National CB Radio Patrol. And you know what, folks? The National CB Radio Patrol was also a program of the American Federation of Police. Now, here's the thing. The American Federation of Police has scam alerts and fraud alerts across the United States. State Attorney General's offices have put out warnings. State of Minnesota has started a lawsuit. Police departments across the United States have said that this organization is a fraud. And in case you don't remember, I'm going to play back from the offline archive what I found out about the American Federation of Police. It figures that Bob would support an alleged scam organization.
The American Federation of Police. This is a legitimate organization.
Oh, ignore the source on that one.
Has been around since 1979. If it's a scam, then why do they put out a magazine to its members? This is one here from that I received in 2001, and then they changed the format a little bit different. And then this is one I received in 2005. It is a legitimate organization.
He still has magazines from 18 years ago.
First off, folks, notice that he still has not shown a charter from the American Federation of Police or any other group for that matter.
I'm so glad I got rid of that voice.
Nothing. He is showing nothing in the name of the CARE Security Radio Patrol. And secondly, let me share with you some of my research. According to a lawsuit filed last year by the Minnesota Attorney General, only 9 cents of every dollar goes to helping the families of fallen officers and other outreach. In 2017, folks, they raised $4 million from across the nation. This means only $360,000 went to the grieving families and outreach. The other $3,640,000 went to salaries, fundraising, and marketing. And here's the kicker. According to the lawsuit, their solicitations, those letters you get saying give money, those letters say 100% of the donations go to the officers' families and for outreach.
Lies.
And there were some other troubling things, but you can do your own research and reading. And in my own research, I found that there's police departments, entire states, and various groups that have issued scam warnings or solicitation advisories about them. Let me pull up here a little sampling of the places I found. So besides Minnesota, of course, which over time has actually had 2 lawsuits against that group, you have the Arkansas Attorney General, the North Sioux City Police Department, the Harper Woods Police Department, the Honolulu Police Department, the Lewiston, Maine Police Department, various charity watchdog groups, and various Better Business bureaus have addressed it. And this list, folks, goes on and on. Of course, like I always say, do your own due diligence and come up with your own opinions.
So, as we could see, Bob can only belong to an organization that's questionable, because really, what legitimate organization is going to accept Bob into their ranks? Nobody's even using CB radios anymore. I did some research. Something like 90% of police departments don't even monitor Channel 9. And Channel 9 does still serve a purpose in faraway places or in the wilderness. But in Carrollton, Ohio, and the surrounding area, there's cell service. So nobody's using these CB patrol radios anymore. And it's just another way that Bob is stuck back in the 70s and 80s when these security radios were very popular. My guess is, because he always talks about how he's started groups with other people and they've changed names and there's been all these evolutions, is that all these people probably kicked him out and get the fuck out of here, buddy. And so now he needs to have his own, because I'm going to show them. Again, that's just my own guess, but it's probably true. The man was even thrown out of his own local amateur radio club, and there was some Facebook receipts for that. I don't have it, but I know it's out there somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not, but, I got to watch how I say it. But, alleged kicked out. But whatever. So then in that same video where he updates about the accident, so he talks about the person who died. He talks about Law Enforcement Memorial Week. And then in his typical psychotic fashion, he now has a very strongly worded message for his reactors. And I call reactors anybody who reacts to his videos, anybody who expresses their opinions about his radios. He calls them trolls. Sometimes I'll call them trolls. But in reality, anybody who makes a video about him is reacting to him, whether it be kind of telling about what he's doing, or in Joe's expertise, something, with a parody. Yeah, so yeah, if they were a scam, why would they put out a magazine? Excuse me, that's a really good one. I like that. So here's Bob's message for his reactors.
When are you? When are you? You stupid. You stupid. Honestly, no good for nothing.
No good for nothing.
Lousy excuses of human beings.
Aw, I'm so touched.
You call it editing, but it's actually manipulating.
That's what editing is, asswipe.
I feel sorry for you when it comes right down to it. 'Cause you're all lost.
This was his actual pause, people.
God bless you.
Yeah, so we're all lost, in other videos, even earlier today, we're all going to hell. There's no place for us in the kingdom of heaven. All because, we have opinions. Bob always goes on about how he's protected under the law to preach and preach however he wants, wherever he wants. Well, those same courts, Bob, are going to protect our free speech and our free expression of our opinions. So you can't like the court for supporting you, but not like the courts for not supporting you. It's get with it, guy. You really got to get with it. Manipulating. Yeah. One of my most favorite things, and I'm going to type it, and I forgot who said it, but they kind of take the things that Bob says and rewrite them. Well, not write them, but write it how Bob says it. And one of my favorite things here is the Bible. It's not the Bible, it's the Bible. He's just a mess. So that kind of concludes a little bit about what I have to say, with the going on about what's going on in Bob's world right now. However, I mentioned earlier that there's the BobTube channel. Actually, the channel name is God Man, but he's named the live stream BobTube. And again, it's 24/7 Bob videos. And so if you're ever bored out of your mind, go and have a watch, and you can learn more about Bob by watching Bob himself than by listening to me or anybody else. But there is a woman who comes into BobTube, and this is my lolcalf in the making. I think there's going to be some great potential here, people. This is June Hines, who comes into the BobTube chat. This is her profile picture, but this is actually what she looks like. And June is of the same mindset as Bob when it comes to Christianity. People are going to hell. People are going to burn. I swear it's like her and Bob were hatched out of the same egg. And so she has a couple videos, and I put together some quick clips to give you a little bit of an idea about her. Here.
Oh, God will deal with you. God will. God will deal with you.
She's talking out of Bob's playbook.
Children. So, back off. God will deal with you. All of you.
This is so Bob.
People who get a person down and start kicking them are going to hell. That is a sin. Get your hearts right before God, or you will be going to hell. So, stop it. No,
stop it.
You don't want to help. You want to destroy, like Your father, the devil.
Now, who says father the devil? This is like out of his playbook. Your father the devil. Your father Satan the devil. And I'm like, holy shit, is there a book out there on how to be like the most bizarre Christian out there? I mean, I was really blown away. But guess what? This is the part that I don't know if it gets me excited. June herself, who is just like Bob, has the same, well, I guess we can call it theology, spirituality, I don't know what you want to call it, but has the same beliefs, uses the same words. June herself last week said that Bob is going to hell. Yes, folks, June, the spitting image of Bob, says that Bob is going to hell. And do you know why? Because Bob is divorced, and because Bob has gotten remarried to Renee. And even if he's not remarried to Renee, according to June, he is living in adultery. Yes, folks. I'm totally expecting in BobTube that this woman being there making a scene about how Bob is perfect and everything he's saying is good. And when that came across the screen where she said Bob's going to hell, I couldn't believe my eyes. When I checked the account just to make sure it was really her and not some kind of sock account. It was really, really her. I had to do a little bit of research on June. Now, granted, I gave her 15 minutes of my time, but I was able to... was our 15 minutes I'll never get back, but it's very interesting. So, June has a YouTube channel. She has a Twitter account. She has an Instagram account. And she has a WordPress blog. That's just the WordPress username. I think it's .wordpress.com after that. June is really into marriage, okay? Come to find out that June was married to Paul. Now, you could see the Instagram name there, June and Paul Forever. Paul divorced her, and Paul got remarried to somebody else. Apparently, June has not accepted that fact because look at her Instagram name, June and Paul Forever. And so she posts on her Twitter about how her son was abused by Paul and his new wife. June posts on Twitter begging her children to please call her and actually doxes herself with her phone number and even lists where the daughter works. She's a bit, just that name, June and Paul Hines Forever, should tell you that if she doesn't make it into the ranks of a Lolcow, she's probably going to make it into the ranks of a Lifetime movie about a wife who stalked her ex-husband. In fact, just a couple months ago on June's, I believe it was her Instagram or Twitter, whatever it was, she was posting pictures from way back when her and Paul originally got married. Now, this divorce, folks, is not recent, so it's not like she's going through those stages of grief. The divorce happened some time ago. She has not let go. So this is one we're probably going to want to keep a watch on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wish Renee would make videos. Could you imagine what those videos would be like? But I don't know. Sometimes I think Renee supports and is totally with Bob and his thinking. Other times I don't, just listening to her in the background. So I am at 9 o'clock, folks, and I didn't want to keep this more than an hour. I did have plans to talk. Actually, you know what? Let me just shoot through this because I really only have one more thing to cover. One of the other people that I do follow is Michelle Marie Dalene, who also has a YouTube channel, Dalene-Finistra. And Lumi is Michelle's, it's hard to explain, alter personality or spirit, imaginary friend. Michelle and Lumi are married. They got married some time ago. And again, on Saturday, we're going to go more into who is Michelle. But today, there was this big reveal because when they talk, it's obviously coming out of the same mouth, out of the same person. And I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not going to play one on you. Some people out there suggest that it might be dissociative identity disorder. Some people call it multiple personality disorder. Some of the more psychically minded people say it's a twin. Is it twin flame or twin spirit or something? But what's interesting, and this is why I kind of wanted to bring it up today, because it happened today, is that when people, twin soul flame, thanks. When people look at Michelle and you tune into her channel for the first time, you're not really expecting to have this Lumi and Michelle and a Lumi speaking, and there's no clear shift. And so Michelle's decided, and Lumi and Michelle have decided that it's time that Lumi has a little bit more autonomy. I believe that was the word they used. Lumi's going to have her own shows and this and this and that. And you know what? Again, not playing the psychologist, but it's moving this Lumi persona more and more into another personality. So today there was a big reveal. So if you would normally go to their channel, this would be Michelle/Lumi. I took this screen cap from Lumi's channel, so this is where Lumi was having a live stream. If you go to Michelle's channel, you see the same person. So this whole discussion comes into being of, well, how do we know the difference between Michelle and Lumi? Now, I've watched Michelle, I don't want to say for a long time, it's been months. There is a small voice difference between the two, but it's not significant. You really have to be listening, and I don't necessarily always get it. So one of Michelle's viewers sends her money to buy a wig for Lumi. And so today was the big reveal. And so this is Lumi. So when we look at the channel, when we see this, and I think there's some hoop earrings there, we know that this is Lumi. And when we see this now, we're going to know that this is Michelle. Is it mental illness? I'm not qualified to say. So, here's the thing about Michelle, and it's the truth. She's a gentle soul. She's not going to hurt anybody. She's not a Bob McKim who is out there telling people they're going to hell. She's not out there doing some of the things some of the other Lolcows are doing. One thing about her, though, is when you do go to her channel, you're not expecting Lumi. And there's some other things we'll be talking about, too. And unless you've really lived with somebody in your life who's had an alter ego or an alter personality, it's very hard to grasp. And even Michelle herself can't explain it. In an elevator pitch, she can explain it for hours and hours ad nauseum, but there's like no elevator pitch about Lumi. And so, quite frankly, if she did have something that was real succinct and to the point, I think the majority of people aren't going to buy it anyways. But it is what it is. We're going to talk more about Michelle and Lumi on Saturday. So as it sits, I've run over by about 6 minutes. I want to thank you all for coming here today for the Wednesday muster. I'm going to try to do these on Wednesdays. We're still going to try with more topics, with guests and more panel members on Saturday. We will do Saturday evening, and I really can't think of anything else right now. So once again, you know what? If you enjoyed this stream, subscribe, hit the little bell button so you know when we go live. Give it a like, comment below. I really enjoy the comments. Oops. And so I really enjoy the comments, and we'll just keep going from there. So until I see you guys next, God bless and have a great day.